Hello guys, this is another video on God of War Ragnarok, this time on how to beat the Berserker King using my build. For those who have seen the previous video, this is pretty much my build. I've got high defense build with fairly enough strength for the purpose. Runic is also not too bad, we got 200 Runic, 311 strength, and 65 defense. Why so much defense? As I explained in the previous video, basically there are some enchantments in the game that you can allocate to your amulet, which will make this build very valuable. So without further ado, just a quick review on the armor. As I said in the previous video, I've got the Stainbjorn um, armor set, the complete set. So, one thing I forgot to mention is how important the bloodthirsty retaliation actually is in this build. Not so much against bosses, um, because it's more useful when fighting mobs, um, because again, when you are fighting a boss, you lose either too much health, you go full aggressive, or you don't lose enough health for it to trigger. In any case, another very important perk that I forgot to mention is what comes from the wrist and the waist, which is the stunning retaliation. You cannot believe how much this procs with only 84 luck. A moderate luck chance to stagger and inflict stun damage to nearby enemies when damage is taken. Now I can tell you when I play the trials in Muspelheim, this stuff triggers all the time. 1 out of 3 times I get hit, this triggers and everything that is around you just gets stunned immediately. Sometimes you have 2 and 3 different enemies getting stunned at the same time. But it's very useful because not only it gives you the chance to crit um, one of these stunned enemies, but it will also stop the other enemies that got stunned from attacking you, which gives you some time to rethink your strategy, replace your Kratos in a better position to face them afterwards instead of having your back on one of them, which might make you a bit more vulnerable. Again, for the amulet, the main secret here is the Startlefying um, amulet set with the perk that gives you increased stun damage inflicted based on your defense. Now, with 665 defense, you get a lot of stun out of this. Also, you have the Niflheim enchantment set, which increases the melee damage when your health is above 75% based on your defense. So you do get quite a good melee damage increase as long as you're above 75, which with this build you do easily stay above 75% health, especially when fighting smaller enemies. Against the boss, it's a bit of a it's kind of tricky because you will see how I start every single fight. Every single fight I start by dishing out pretty much all of my runics against the enemy. I trigger the rage, go all the way back up while my runics are refreshing slightly. And then I try to go from there. Maybe try to parry, dodge when necessary, and that's how I focus in fighting, especially bosses. And last but not least, again, this is most likely one of the few enchantment sets that can be used across pretty much any build you can come up with, um, as long as you have a sufficient runic value. In this case, we got 200. It's not the highest, but I would say it's good enough considering how much stun damage and how much increased damage we are already getting from our defense from the previous 2 enchantments. In any case, um, just a reminder on what I'm using on my weapons. So on the axe, of course, I'm using the permafrost lifesteal. This is because first, this is one of the few um, attachments that actually gives you um, a good amount of defense and strength at the same time. You will see most of the others give you some of one or some of the other, uh, but this is the number one choice for both defense and strength. This one is a good option too, but again, it adds a concussive wave to the end of the R1X combo. Um, could be better, I think, considering what this does. Um, if they swapped, I would probably swap. Um, again, for my heavy attacks, because I'm about to fight a boss, I'm focused on single target um, runic attacks. Maybe I could swap this one for a different one, but again, this is the one that does the highest damage, in my opinion. Um, it's quite triggers quite easily. And this one, again, mostly just because it's got a very uh, small cooldown, and it does give enough damage. These two have small cooldowns as well, but not as high. And frost, which is comes in handy. As for the blades, again, um, I'm using the Palms of Undying Spark. Maybe I could swap this one. I tried using different things, but considering this one does a lot, adds a lot of strength and some runic, I take this as one of the best options you can go up with, considering what it does. I mean, not not a massive add up. Um, I could go with this one, which would increase uh, the 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 strength and runic attacks, and it can stack up to 3 times. But it doesn't really trigger that often. I have tried before, and it doesn't really trigger often. As for the runic attacks, I'm going with Cyclone of Chaos because, I mean, the amount of stun this does is just insane. And I'm going with the Tame the Beast. Again, if I'm fighting a boss, which is a single target, I want as much damage as possible. Um, the only problem with this runic attack I found most times is that sometimes I trigger it, sometimes I use it when the boss is just about to dodge away from me, and if you miss and the boss does manage to escape, most times they'll try some ranged attack and you just be sitting duck. As for the spear, I'm using the Warrior's Echo Sorter. Again, spear attacks against Sonic afflicted enemies deal bonus damage and build bonus Maelstrom skill charge. The building bonus from skill charge is actually the reason why I choose this one, on top of the fact that it is one of the few that covers strength, defense, and runic. If you check the others, they do defense, vitality, and luck, which doesn't really do much for me. Runic, vitality, and cooldown, not really what I want. Defense is good, but vitality, I don't really need it. Defense and luck, again, not what I want. Defense and vitality, again, not what I want. This one would be a good choice, but again, this one does the same thing, adds a concussive wave to the end of the Spear R2 combo, and it doesn't really do it for me. This one greatly increases the stun damage of the Gale Force skill, which is, unfortunately, this skill right here, which I never use. I've never seen anyone using this. It's one of the most useless skills, I'm afraid. Um, and last but not least, um, the other options, just defense and runic. Again, I'm going this one for the obvious reasons. For the light attacks, again, this um, this Thrust of 1,000 Soldiers, it does increase the hits the more you mash the R1, which is very useful. And also, if you do the Sonic first, this will help get your Maelstrom charge all the way up. And then if you swap to the axe and you activate the Permafrost, you are low on health, it will help you recover your health a little bit. As for the heavy, well, I mean, look at the damage, force, and stun out of this one. It does have a massive cooldown. I thought about sweeping to this one, but this one has a massive problem. I have I have tried using it before against a boss. If the boss manages to jump just on the moment that you throw the first spear, you're not going to do as much damage as I thought about this one, which is a good choice considering it has way less um, cooldown time than this one. Um, and I might try this one on a different occasion. But the problem is you have to hold the R2. This one, I mean, doesn't really do it for me. There's a lot of stun, but the cyclones are very random, and if you're fighting a boss, they become a bit. As for the shield, I use the Guardian Shield because it gives you very good defense numbers and it does allow you to parry. As for the shield attachment, I like to have an increased um, parry window, and it also gives you good defense. Cards and Rage, I use Fury for obvious reasons. I want to have enough um, attacking opportunities. And as for the relic, I haven't tried this one before, but I'll give it a go this time, which is uh, the Sindri tuning fork, which does give a good high stun damage to surrounding enemies. So we'll try this on the boss. And here we go. This is how we are going to try to beat this.
King Hrolf's gravestone. It's reformed.
Here we go.
Guess there's only one thing left to do.
That was a big failure. Ooh, that hurt.
Careful, brother. You're covered in bifrost.
Not it. Oh no. Ouch. Oh, that hurt. Should we finish now with it? Right.
Thank you, brother. Still not sure if that was justice or vengeance.
The two are not always at odds.
What do you intend to do with Skofnung now?
I intend to use it.
No! Don't you understand the legacy
Want to
that
let
thing
them finish the
carries?
dialogue.
Not to mention the souls of evil berserkers.
I will use it for good.
That won't erase its history.
No. But the story of this sword is still being written. Future generations will weigh its good deeds against the bad and decide for themselves.
You've come a long way from when I first met you, brother.
I have had good counsel since then, brother.
And there you go, guys. I mean, I did fall down and I had to use the Berserker Stone. That was a very, very poor timing on that attack. It left me exposed. I got hit unnecessarily. But as you see, it wasn't so hard. I mean, I do recommend bringing a Berserker Stone just in case. This was one of the reasons why, is that if you are in a tight situation just like I was, I thought I had it under control, but then I missed a dodge and I exposed myself unnecessarily. It was not one of my best runs, I gotta admit. But considering it's just a quick video to let you to show you how to approach the boss, how to use your skills and move around, trying to use your abilities wisely. Made a lot of mistakes. I could see them myself. I mean, it wasn't perfect at all. There was a lot of damage that I took. I could have easily avoided. Um, but just to show you that it can easily be done with the right build, and if you use the build correctly, it's doable. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Drop a like and subscribe, and take care. Cheerio.